Design Salvation, episode 74.
This is Design Salvation, your lifeline to better design with Dixie and Annie. Our mission is to share our conversation with you so we can all elevate our work and lifestyle. Welcome to the fold.
Hey, y'all, it's Dixie Stark.
And Annie Lundquist.
We're Design Salvation.
And we're meeting at kind of a funny time. We don't usually... Dixie and I got together on our regular Thursday, and we made a cocktail, and we did that, and we were going to talk about it, and we loved it, by the way. It's one of our very best. And then Dixie said, I forgot the recording equipment.
Good job, right? Oh, my gosh.
So we are now Saturday night, and the guys are here, too. We banished them to the basement because they're so
downstairs.
loud.
They are very loud.
Whew, they're loud. And we remade the cocktail in a simpler version. Well, I did.
Yeah, you remade the cocktail, and actually you put gin in it. And, of course, I love gin.
Yes, you love gin. So this is called, oh, my gosh.
I don't know what it's called.
It was the pomegranate ginger Paloma is what it's called.
It was a Paloma.
And it had a lot of ingredients. So I knew Dixie would never tackle it.
No, not in a million years. But I couldn't believe how ambitious you were.
We are posting this because I think it's a great holiday punch, whether you add
it is like
the tequila or not. This time I added the gin because we were out of tequila, which I think was fine. And you could put vodka in it too.
Actually. And I like gin because it's got juniper in it for the holidays too. Yes. People think that gin is like such a summer thing. And I'm like, no. Don't forget about it in the winter.
This would be like if you have a bunch of teens, they're going to like this because it has a little ginger beer topping and it's a beautiful color and has pomegranate seeds
and you wouldn't have to put the alcohol in it.
Exactly.
You just do it like totally.
So I think it could be your starter cocktail for your holiday parties, and then you could just top the adults if they want.
With a little bit
if they want the boozy top.
This or that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then,
but I think the gin works great.
And I think it was Half-Baked Harvest or some. I will post the website that I got it from because I was really impressed and the pictures were beautiful. It'll sell you on it. Better than, we made pretty drinks too, but hers were really pretty.
So pretty though.
Hers were really pretty.
Love it. I know, and you had to squeeze that grapefruit. That was kind of funny. Juice that grapefruit. What did you do this time?
I bought fresh squeezed grapefruit.
There you go.
Because I was at the good store and I knew they had the good stuff. And I was like, I'm going to be in a hurry today.
So funny.
We had a crazy day.
You had a busy day, and then here I come, and I'm like, okay, we're going to record. Got to drink again.
I think this is fun. But
it's kind of funny.
I'm drinking mine without any
without any alcohol in it.
It.
And you love it. It's like a punch. It does take. It has the consistency of a punch. The lightness, but the kind of sweetness.
I really recommend it. I think it's one of our better.
Yeah,
options.
Good move on that. Okay, so
what are we talking about?
Well, I got to give some kudos to Jay because he sent this. Actually, he sent it to both of us.
He did.
I'm going to read it. He said in the text, it's kind of a long text for Jay, so I was kind of like, oh my gosh. But it's so relevant to, I think, the article we're going to speak about a little bit later. I think it just all ties in together. So I thought we'd start with this.
Good, let's start with it.
Here we go. He writes, saw this and thought about you too. Remember this when someone tries to beat you down. Well, what is the preface to all this is that been super busy. I come home. I kind of do the not complain, but a little bit of the can you believe this?
Right.
And I've had several people that want to be new clients. And as a matter of fact, didn't actually end up working with them, but have said, you must be looking for work, with COVID and the hard times. And I'm just wondering, do you reduce your rates?
Oh, I didn't. Oh, they ask you that?
And I kind of stuttered and went on and said, quite the opposite. We're extremely busy. And because of COVID, our job is exponentially more difficult because supply chains are messed up, having to be so careful when you go and visit with clients, when you go and visit with vendors, you have to make appointments. We've touched on all these things before. So I come home and never so often I rant and rave.
That's how you get.
I get, my justification. So he sends this to Annie and I in a text, and it says, he's thinking about us, and it basically is a little story. So it's the validation we need.
Let's read this story. I actually forwarded this to my kids because I thought it was that relevant.
Oh,
for everybody.
Right. Okay. So a customer asked me how much it cost to make a table. I answered him $1,500. He said, so expensive for this job? I ask, well, how much do you think it would cost? And he answers me back, $800 max. That's a pretty simple job, right? For like $800, I invite you to do it yourself. But I don't know how, he says. Well, for $800, I'll teach you how to. So besides saving you $700, you'll get the knowledge to do it next time you want to do it. It seemed right to him, and he agreed. But to get started, I want you to know you need tools. You need a table saw, you need a planner, you need a top, you need and all these tools. But I don't have all this equipment, and I can't buy all these things for just one job. Well, then for another $250, I'll rent my stuff to you, and then you can do it. Okay, he says. Okay, so Tuesday, I'm waiting for you to start doing this job and the work. But I can't on Tuesday. I only have time today. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm only available Tuesday to teach you and lend you my stuff. Other days are busy with other customers. Okay, that means I'm going to have to sacrifice my Tuesday and give up my tasks. I forgot. To do your job yourself, you also have to pay for the non-productive factors. That is, what is bureaucratic, tax, VAT, security, insurance, fuel? Oh no, but to accomplish these tasks, I'm going to spend more money and waste a lot of time. Do you have them? You can do it for me, can't you? You've done it before. Okay. I'll make you all the material you need. Truck loading is done Monday evening or Tuesday morning. You'll have to come by at 6, loading the truck. Don't forget to be on time, traffic jams, and make sure that you're prompt at 6. Nope, that's too early for me. I'm used to getting up later. Well, you know, I've been thinking. You better get the job done. I'd rather pay you the $1,500. Yeah. If I had to, it wouldn't be perfect, and it would cost me way more money. Mm-hmm. When you pay for a job, especially handcrafted, you pay not only for the material, but also for the following. And this is what, basically he was trying to say to me is that, people are paying for your knowledge, your experience, your study, your tools, your services, your time to go there, your punctuality and accountability, your professionalism, your accuracy, your guarantee of the product, your patents if you have them, your sacrifices, your safety and your security, and your payment of all the tax obligations and all the things to do with that. No one can denigrate. Is that the right word?
That's
denigrate?
Right. Yes.
That looks weird to me when I went to read it. No one can denigrate other people's work by judging prices.
That's a good line.
Only by knowing all the elements necessary for the production of a certain work can you estimate the actual cost. I did not write the dialogue. This is what Jay says. I did not write the dialogue, but I'm sharing it to support all craftsmen and all entrepreneurs, i.e. capitalism.
Yeah. I think it's really, we run into this every week, if not every day, in some way, shape, or form, that people don't understand our value, and we allow ourselves, if we so choose, to be denigrated.
We do,
and it's a hard thing, I think, especially more for women. We get
beat up.
Well, we have a hard time talking about money.
Yeah, we do.
So you get better at it over time and over the years, and you also realize as you get older, when you come into a job and you just start talking more eloquently and it rolls off your tongue. And
it's effortless.
It's so effortless that all the years really have added value. And sometimes I'll come home to Deke and say, my gosh, I was so smart today.
You're like, it just rolled off.
It just rolled off. And that's
all those things.
That's all that value.
That's that adds all up. Value.
But even I really want to encourage young designers to take this to heart.
Yes.
Because we've said before, you can't charge for exactly every hour because your learning curve is steep. You still really be respectful of yourself and your time and the expertise that you do have, so that you aren't constantly lowering your fees, which lowers your credibility and then lowers your reward, your work reward thing, because this is a really hard job. So if you're not getting paid,
It's really hard to stay in the industry.
It's really hard to stay in the industry.
On multiple levels.
And especially like that said, guaranteeing the work, you know things go wrong all the time.
Well, they do.
And you have to have that little cushion.
That's
and
right.
that is part of, and if you don't use it on this job, it'll get used on the next job.
It will.
And I think this is just incredibly valuable. I think it takes a long time to really be strong enough to believe it wholeheartedly. And that's why Jay sent it to you, because you even needed a reminder.
Yeah, I did after 20-something years in the industry, and I'm still coming home and going, are you kidding me? People are like asking me to lower my prices. And maybe the prices aren't necessarily my fees. They may be on product. Well, aren't they going to put those things on sale? And I'm like, oh my gosh.
You don't understand the industry now. It's a runaway train.
It is. And so, the knowledge and experience that you bring to any project or any product, okay, well, great. That's just kind of a given. But it's all these other things that I thought were really great for any and all to remember is that I've had to get to your place. I've had to calculate, that it's not going to take me 10 minutes. Rather, it's going to take me 45. And I am going to guarantee that what I bring to you is what we've discussed, and it's of good quality and durable and all of those sorts of things. And just that it's accurate to the dimensions that you ask for or other criteria. And all of those things, it's so important. And then it mentioned patents, and I found that very interesting because that goes back to what I just said at the very end of reading this, and it goes back to capitalism. And capitalism, people get that confused and they think that it's corporatism. It's not. Capitalism is owning your property to things that you have actually come up with. And that's why, the U.S. is so great because we value that here. And so, to elaborate on that, as a business owner, that's one of the things that you have to keep in the back of your mind is that this product or this service or the experience and all the things that you are bringing to the table on the project, is yours to own until you offer it to someone else.
Yeah. And I would add a little sidebar to that, which is if you really embrace this approach and respect of your work and yourself, I think it also will allow you to not be used. And I use that term. It's a little harsh.
It is, but everybody knows what you mean.
And more and more
they
and more.
do.
And I get that. And they're going to ask. And you have
of course they are.
And you ran into this week. This is what really pushed the button for you.
This is what pushed the button. I got taken advantage of.
Yes. Well, yes.
And I allowed it.
Because
it was
nice.
my fault.
Yes.
It was my fault.
Yes. We're nice. We want to accommodate everything, but you absolutely cannot. And then do a really good job. And what happened was you got yourself boxed into a little
corner.
Being nice. And then the client is like, hey. And you're like, well.
Exactly. But
you've lost your leverage in a way.
But I lost my leverage.
I don't mean to. Am I being too personal?
No. But that's exactly what happened.
And it happens all the time to us. You all can relate to it in multiple situations, whether you volunteer for a position or anything. I mean, you go volunteer for your school auction and they're going to take, and you have to be able, it's just setting boundaries.
It is. It's setting the boundaries
and respecting your expertise.
Exactly. Respecting yourself and your expertise and remembering that you bring a value that obviously is not being brought by others. And so that's why you were asked to do what you were asked to do, which segues me, because we could harp on this all night, but I just loved it. I just loved the knowledge, experience, study.
And that's why I sent it to my kids.
Sacrifices.
Because they're going to run into this because they're heading down fairly entrepreneurial paths, and they're going to run into this all the time.
Of course. But then it started to make me, this then catapulted me into the article that you mentioned to me. And I'm like, okay, as interior designers, we are problem solvers. And I want to say that I go through these periods of time in my career where I feel like I'm solving more problems. And then I go through periods of time where I'm doing more decorating, or I go through periods of time where I'm managing, or, whatever it may be. And right now I feel like a big problem solver, and that's good. I mean, I even read a book about women's careers and things like that. And one of the interior designers she said, well, I feel like I'm more of a problem solver than I am an interior designer. Mm-hmm. And that struck a chord with me.
Absolutely. I think 94% of our job is problem solving. And I think even decorating is problem solving.
It is. So. It is. Of course it is. But it reminded me of the article you mentioned. And do you have that handy?
Yeah,
I want you to
I do.
I want you to talk about that because I think that's really interesting.
So this
Am I pushing this on you?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, honey, no.
Okay.
So I was reading the Wall Street Journal, and they have the...
She's religious about reading
I do. I read it every morning. I do. It's my favorite time of day.
You're really good about it.
So this is an article called Requiem for the Open Plan, which is the great room may be seeing its last hurrah. I don't think it's quite that dramatic, but...
Maybe not, but...
I'm going to read a little part of it and then we can... But the great room really has, as this article says, dominated home design for decades.
For a while.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody wanted the open floor plan. They wanted the big great room. They wanted the great room to have the connections of, eating and watching television and doing other activities.
And being all together. Well, now, of course, with our COVID reality, we have too much togetherness.
Yeah, we do.
I'm going to read a little bit of this article because I like the way they worded it. So mentally... let's see, where was that? Hang on. Now you push this on me, and I'm not that organized.
See, dang it. I just thought it was so interesting.
Okay, let me just read this because it touches on a lot of things, and then we'll get back to it.
Okay.
There's no mystery in the open concept. There are no hallways and no sense of a home unfolding, said Mary Keenan Sadlin of Chicago, who commented on an article about open plan living. Now, I would disagree a little bit because you can still unfold house into an open.
You can.
You can do it, but... I know what she's saying. Mentally, it creates a sense of vulnerability because you're literally exposed every time you open the front door. And science backs up her critique. Creating refuge spaces that make you feel protected with niches and nooks or booths or even canopies can lower stress and help you focus, said Bill Browning, founding partner of Terrapin Bright Green. Clients are willing to give up a little square footage these days for highly functional spaces like discrete mudrooms or dens. And the trick is finding that perfect balance between openness and hiding. Yeah. And I think we all need to hide a little from our spouse, from
our kids,
from our dogs.
I know.
I mean,
you were talking about
oh my gosh. I know you wouldn't think.
He's so precious.
He's so easy. So my little Chihuahua Biscuit, who weighs 11 pounds, you wouldn't think, and he has a very small footprint in the sense that, like, literally, but also figuratively, he really is the easiest
He
dog.
is easy, very easy.
But he is always a heat seeker. He's a heat-seeking missile.
Oh, yeah. He loves the sun. He loves your warm. Yeah.
Yeah. With Deke home working and I'm home working or whatever I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
The day.
You're doing this and
Someone's always home. So he's in someone's lap now. The entire day. And it's driving us both absolutely crazy. So I got online. I went to Amazon and I bought a heated pet bed because I need him to have his own damn space.
Yes.
I need that little nugget to sit in his bed and create his own world and leave us
alone. Well, I think that's happening. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Poor little thing. I tell you what. But I think that's happening in a lot of households because I am having this request where it's like, well, he needs an office and she needs a space and we actually need more room for this and we need more room for that. And you and I were just talking about how it's just nice to have these spaces, although you lose some square footage, but to have spaces that you can close off to be more private and to escape, whether you need it for a conference call or whether you need it for your schoolwork or you need it just to get away.
Yeah.
Because you've been together nonstop.
And I think there's a safety factor and a calm factor to closing a door or just not being able to see other people for a little bit so you can take a deep breath and focus. Yeah. And we live in a crazy world. We have all this media. We're always looking at our phones, whatever. So it's even more important to carve out, and they don't have to be big spaces to solve the problem, which is
what we're talking
about is
because,
problem solving.
I'm getting all these requests that say, well, we're making one run to go to Costco to get everything, but now we don't have a place to store it. I mean,
Right.
These are the types of things that are coming up in all these meetings that I have. And I had one this morning and they're like, well, we've decided that, we need a little bit of space for this and a little bit of space for that. And we're having to basically take some of these larger open plans, just like that article. So I found it really interesting. You mentioned that
timely,
to me.
Yeah, because you had just had that discussion.
We're dividing the rooms up because we need separate spaces. And in one situation, we're actually putting in French doors, where you can still see and the glass, and we're still getting a lot of natural light and what have you in the space, but there is a separation so that two functions can happen within this one open plan that it used to be.
Right.
Very interesting. And then I think a lot of people are tired of living with these open plans where they can see a lot of things that, say, for instance, they can see all the stuff that would normally be in a mudroom.
Yes.
Or, an entry. And you're kind of talking the same thing where it's it's okay if it's smaller.
It's okay if it's smaller. I have a lot of small spaces that and I'm really happy I have them.
Yeah.
And it's like we've talked about before, I'm doing my little tiny flower room.
Right.
So I can have all that stuff just
kind of go there.
Congregated and go
right
there. And then I have a little tiny kitchen office with a door on it. Thank God, because it's my dumping zone. And so I would really, my next house, which hopefully will be much smaller.
Right, because you live in a pretty big house here.
This house is not
this is
hanging
big.
On forever because we're going to be empty. But I would love to have, and I would build for someone actually an open floor plan, but I would keep in mind there have to be doors that close. There have to be every component that we've talked about should still be in the plan.
Exactly.
It just doesn't have to be a huge mudroom or a huge project area or a huge flower It can be just a small space.
It can, and it's as long as it's functional, which is again our problem-solving task, where our task to make sure that it fulfills the needs of what you need, whether it's storage or function or whatever it may be. That's our job. I find it so interesting because there for a while, if you toured any new home or you went through any new space, it was this big, huge open floor plan.
Yeah.
And where I'm finding the people that are surviving and doing really well right now with their whole family's home and what have you are the older homes that do have the separate rooms. They seem to be more adaptable than the ones that have these open floor plans. And I'm a perfect example. Again, we've mentioned it, where I have a loft space above an open floor plan, and I am finding myself retreating to my studio, which is small, but I have a door.
Yeah.
And,
thank God,
right?
No,
thank God for that. Well, it's always messy. And then I'm also finding myself retreating to the master suite, because everything, and that has a door
and a little more space.
It's a little bit more confined. So, and a little more space than my studio. But I find it just very interesting. It continues to come up. And I do think that as problem solvers and as designers, and I find this extremely exciting, that our job is going to, again, kind of reinvent itself and
Don't you
evolve.
Love that?
And
love
it's
change.
fun.
It's super fun.
I think we just embrace it and go, yay, we have another reason to be hired,
And it makes you think about timelessness and classical properties of design.
So important.
Why they're there.
Why they were initially there in the first place. And, it also is really, to me, again, just kind of I don't love things on an angle. And I don't like things typically that are semicircular, anything kind of weird like that.
I'm a straight edge gal.
I get to go back to a lot of those principles because those are the means with which you can do these individual spaces, or rather open them up or what have you. But I think this is interesting. When did that article come out?
It's very recent. The date on it was last Saturday, the Saturday-Sunday edition. So November 7th.
A week ago.
Yeah. And I loved this. I just want to add one more factor on that, which is that the factor of the vulnerability on the open spaces and needing those little cocoon moments, those restful moments in a crazy world. And I think
true.
I've talked about this before, but like if you have a big space, like a big bedroom that's too big, like mine is way too big, and I don't know, in this lifetime, sometime I'm going to get that damn bed made, but
get it done.
I've said damn twice now, damn dog, damn bed. I'm just, wow. This is, yeah.
It's all good.
But that little cocoon of safety
is very important.
Yeah. And the dog is now going to have a heated safe bed.
He's going to have a safe bed. And maybe you don't have to have a lap dog all the time that's making you choke up, which is really funny. That's funny. But, back to all that, I think that anytime we can allocate a cocoon space, it's a good thing.
Yeah. So find your little spaces.
It's that time of year.
It doesn't have to be a big mudroom.
No, it doesn't have to be a big anything.
Carve out a space in the garage.
There you go. Whatever it takes. But I think it's just kind of fun to see our business evolve, but the principles of
fun.
Of what we do, holding true.
Holding true. And then we also, coming up next week, I think we're going to do a Christmas list.
We're going to, a holiday list.
We're not Oprah, but we're going to do our version.
That's right. Yeah, well, we've got some fun little things that we think would be good little gifties and things that, I would even put on my Christmas list. But just it's kind of allowing us to share with you some of the cool products we like.
Yeah, and hopefully make your gift giving easy.
Make it a little bit easier. And you know what I've noticed, and we'll mention it again, is that the Black Friday of like one day purchasing is now turned into like Black Friday / Cyber Monday / week / 2 weeks. They kind of expanded it, started it early because there's going to be a lot of specifically West Coast states that are not going to be completely functioning. So
we won't go there today.
We won't go there.
It's depressing.
We're
going to be shopping online, and
a lot of shopping online.
My brother did the shipping code for UPS. So he
brilliant.
This is a terrible. Yes, he is brilliant. I love to brag on him, but this is a terrible season for him.
Oh, I'm sure.
And this year
it'll be exponential with all the shipping.
Yeah,
and
so you can't wait too long.
Nope, you can't. And actually, that's one of the things that we wanted to do it next week is because we want you guys to hop on it because y'all are gonna miss out if you don't.
And Christmas is gonna be fun.
And it's gonna be fun. We need it. We're gonna make it fun this year. It's all good. Well, thanks so much for listening to us. Did I just get that backwards or what? Thanks so much for listening to us.
They know what you mean, honey. You just see another cocktail and we need to go join those guys see what trouble they've gone into. You know that Deke just gave a whole tour to your husband of my messy house, which I'm going to kill Deke.
Okay, yeah, well,
I'm going to go kill him. So let's go do that. Let's go do that.
Let's go do that. Okay. Ciao for now.
Ciao for now.
Hey, y'all. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You can also find us at designsalvation.com, where we'll have the past podcasts listed as well as show notes. Hope to see you there.